Hello guys, JP Mitchell here, back today for another video. So I want to talk about my autism recovery story with you guys, and what were some of the toughest battles that I had to fight and endure throughout my childhood into my teenage years, and how did I recover from autism, how did my diagnosis go away, how did my symptoms go away. Well, let me explain it. So let's get started with my story, and then I will explain everything in my story that happens to me and everything after. Okay? Alright, so let's do this. So my story officially starts in 2003, 2004, 2005, when I was only 4 years old, and I was in preschool around this time. Now, preschool was the first initial school I went to, and this was the starting point of my therapy, which was ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis. We got the before footage, we got me learn how to walk, how to speak. The speech therapist taught me to speak, but Sokla taught me what to say. One of the therapists taught me how to walk, but Sokla taught me where to walk to for that reason. So if I was walking at the old castle building, if I was not walking, if I was not stopping when I was supposed to stop walking, Sokla would say, JP, stop, stop, stop. And whenever Sokla would tell me to stop walking, I would just keep on going anyway. Like, I would not learn how to stop when they told me to stop. And then we went, and then Sokla took me out for ice cream, and they taught me, okay, JP, so you got your ice cream, but how much is it going to cost you, right? Excuse me. So Sokla taught me how much ice cream was going to cost. Excuse me. And then they took me grocery shopping, and they taught me, okay, JP, so you got your groceries, but how much cents and how much is it going to cost for these groceries, right? So Sokla taught me, Sokla almost, it's a different word there. Sokla taught me how to buy my own groceries, how to buy my own ice cream, how to order and get my own food and all that stuff. And then we go into the battle part in school. Now, the battling part in school was pretty good. The first battle was with Mrs. Patterson, she was an awful person. I hated her for who she was. She made my soups wrong. She took one of my shirts and dressed me, but when she did it, one of my shirts was on the inside out. And Mitch confronted her on two things, on the soup thing and on the dressing me thing. Because Mitch did not like the way that Mrs. Patterson put my shirt on me. Because Mitch said that, like, woman, like, what are you doing? What are you doing to my kid? And Miss Parsons like, oh, well, you said to put his shirt on, right? Well, I put it on right. And you're like, no, you didn't. You put it on inside out. My son's gonna look like a fool going walking through the hallways like that. And everyone would just stare and just go, ha, ha, ha. Everyone would just they would just laugh at me. The students would literally make fun of me and laugh at me. How embarrassing. The next battle is with Mr. McKenzie, who told me I couldn't wear my gun shirt in school, and I got in trouble for that. Then I became cool like my peers again. Then my autism was gone. Then in grade 11, 2015, this is when I was 17, I talked more to people, I interacted more with people, I had conversations, I tried to ask a couple of girls out on dates. Kiana and I started dating. Kiana was a girl who had Down syndrome, so her and I started dating, holding each other's hand, me giving her a kiss on her cheek in school and all that stuff, so that was good and all. And then when the Door of Hearts song played, in that music concert that day, I remember wrapping my arm around Kiana's shoulder and her just resting her head up against my shoulder, and that was a beautiful romantic moment between us two. You know, just a beautiful, happy boyfriend and girlfriend couple. So that was fun. That was awesome. And then at the age of 18, this is where things get really good. I finished high school at Edward Millen Community School, aka AMCS, a fully recovered graduate student from autism, which was awesome. Got my first touchdown in PE, which was something I did do when I was younger. Yes, I played soccer and basketball and stuff. Got my first soccer goal in PE and all that stuff. You know, I played badminton, I played phrase tag, and that was fun and all. And I remember when I got my first touchdown in PE in Mr. Bear's class, Mark Bear's class, I ran across that field with the football in my hands, and I had the football in one hand, and I said, "Touchdown!" Yeah! And I threw that football on the grass, and it was just awesome. And then I got applauded 3 times in PE, which was amazing because I didn't cry, I didn't freak out, I didn't scream, I didn't temper tantrum, I didn't do any of that. Because because you didn't see that in me anymore. Yes, you saw it in my past with autism, but you didn't see so much of me temper tantruming and me rolling on the floor and me doing this, doing that. Because that was pretty much all over at that point. And of course, all my symptoms were all cleaned up beforehand, so that was good. And then at the age of 20, my final symptom, my last symptom that was there from the very beginning, was all cleaned up. And then I went into Sokla, where Sokla took me swimming. Sokla took me on field trips like to Fort Rudd Hill and all that stuff, where I would remember our soldiers, our guys fighting against the Japanese soldiers that came up the coastline, that came through Victoria and into Fort Rudd Hill. And that was back in 1941, guys. That was when World War II first broke out. So, and then of course, that was also another uh, a tough timeline, because in Fort Rudd Hill we had the secret base and all that, where our soldiers would line up and they would, get ready for the Japanese soldiers to come in, and we would just start mowing them down. So that was important history for me to learn. And also, I talked a little bit more about this history when we came back when I was 18 and I was fully recovered, because at this time I had more language by this time, so I was able to explain the history of Fort Rudd Hill and and just during wartime of how our soldiers fought the Japanese army. So that was really good and all, because I was able to explain it to the audience and to the viewers of just of how cruel and how brutal war actually is. So that was good. That was really good explaining history on my part. And then at the age of 20, like I said, one thing amazing about this whole autism thing is that I didn't really know what my diagnosis was based off of. So I went on the internet and I looked up symptoms and diagnosis, and I thought, well, now wait a minute. If I could lose one, odds are I'll lose the other. So I connected my diagnosis with my symptoms, and they both fitted perfectly. So once my final details, my final symptoms were cleaned up, my symptoms faded away first, and then my diagnosis faded away, which meant that I didn't have to take my diagnosis to a medical doctor or a physician just to have it removed or to have it taken away. I just cleaned up my final details, my final symptoms by myself, of course, without any help or without any guidance or anything like that. And once that was done, I just waited for my diagnosis to fade away on its own without it being removed by a doctor or a medical physician. So that's my story, and I hope that this will encourage you parents and inspire you to focus on the symptoms more than the diagnosis itself. Because when you focus on the symptoms and getting your child better and helping him to to heal and get well and all that stuff, then your child will have a good chance at recovering from autism, because you parents out there don't need to take your child's diagnosis to a doctor or a medical physician just to have it removed. What your child can do is your child can do the pushing, but you parents do the pulling. When your child does the pushing, like I did, then all you have to do is clean up the symptoms, and then the diagnosis of your that declared your child as autistic will be gone automatically in the dust behind him without having it removed by a doctor or a medical physician. So if I went to a doctor today and asked for the diagnosis, they would have said, JP Mitchell, why should we give you the diagnosis if you're not autistic anymore? Get out of here. Just get out of here. You're wasting our time, right? So that's exactly what the doctors would have said to me. So that's my story, guys, and I hope that you all enjoy it. I hope that you all like it. Here's my Gmail account at jpmitchell@autismrecovery.com. Here's my YouTube account. Just go on there, watch some of my videos, so you think of them. Go on my Gmail, leave me an email, leave me a message, leave me a comment on stuff. Leave me some comments, leave me some messages on my YouTube account, and I will get back to you parents out there. I will read your comments. If you parents have any questions for me, like how I lost my diagnosis, how I cleaned up my details, how my symptoms went away, how my autism is gone, how I fully recovered from autism. Any questions that you parents ask me, I will send you a message back and I will reply. Okay? Alright, let's do this thing, guys. Let's do it. Let's go.